Hey, Key Creative Studio, Master Draw in Japan. Let's make a point to draw every day. All right. I want to talk about drawing hands, actually. Okay, and that's always a big problem and challenge for everybody, right? Not to be light about it, but actually, one of the best references you have actually is your own hand. Okay. And the funny thing is, we look at hands, we look at our own hands every day, but we don't really notice like the details and things like that. So when it comes time like to drawing one, people get very confused and stuff like that. Okay, so I think that the two major things that are I think are important for understanding, maybe three things, all right, for understanding how to draw hands. The first thing I recommend the is the gesture. It's the gesture of the hand. Okay, hands are meant to be expressive, right? There was a saying from George Bridgman. I think he said that that the hand is considered to be the slave of action, right? But he said the slave of action is the master of expression. So, what he's getting at, is that when you draw a hand. Well, first of all, another thing, when you draw hands, it's always a good idea to draw like a little bit more than just the hand. Like, don't draw like a wristless, sorry, an armless hand, like in space like that. You'll be better off showing how things relate to other parts, and that way, it'll be a little bit more believable, actually. Okay, so like just now, for drawing this hand, the thing that I focused on first was getting the gesture down. That was the most important thing. Not really like worrying about anatomy and things like that. You just want to get the general believability of of this being a hand, right? Sorry, 1 second, because I'm thinking and drawing at the same time. Okay, so to start off with, okay, you do not want to you don't want to like lock yourself down, like worrying about like minutia, and oh my god, it's not exactly the way that I set out to draw it, on the first go. you know every time, when you do drawing, you always have to keep in mind, it's a process. Okay, so like, you're building things up, right? You're not going to get it like on the first on the first pass. Okay, so this is roughly, a believable hand here. Okay, the other things that I also wanted to talk about in terms of like, how to get the hand, how to get the hand properly. Actually, you know what, I need to fix that just a little bit. Actually, like I said, it is a it is a process. That's better. There we go. That's better. That's much better, actually. Okay. So the second thing, that's going to be helpful for you guys, is understanding anatomy. Okay. So, the reason why I'm able to do this to construct this hand is because, you know, I have an idea of like what's underneath here, okay? And just quickly, and I hope you'll be able to see this on camera, and I hope you can see it. This is my friend here. I have a skeleton here, and I highly recommend you guys, you know, you get some reference for yourself, you know, when you, for like drawing anatomy, like getting like maybe like a 3D skeleton app or something like that. But anyway, okay. So I hope this is showing up. I hope this is actually. Let me check. Okay, that's good. Okay, good. So for the hand, okay, what we have are the, all right, what the hand is actually connecting to, of course, is this part of the forearm, right? Which is the radius, right? Which is like the one that goes from narrow to wide, and then you have like the ulna, which goes from wide to narrow. The radius is always going to be on the thumb side. The ulna is always going to be on the pinky side. Okay. If you touch the pinky side, like just below your hand on your pinky side, like you'll feel this little P thing, and that's the that's the formation, you know, at the end of the ulna here. Okay, so that connects into the metacarpal, sorry, the carpal bones. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You have seven bones in here from right. Right, we count it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, you have seven bones in there, and those extend into the metacarpal bones. Okay, and those extend into the phalanges, which would be these parts. Okay, so what I'm getting at is that, you know, when you draw the hand, okay, two things you have to keep in mind, right? So, you know, just like the part that allows your wrist to really like rotate are these metacarpal bones. Okay, so that's what you have happening in here. All right, again, like here's the ulna, sorry, here's the radius, and here's like the ulna. Okay, so they're connecting into these small bones here, which allows like this nice rotation. Okay, one thing I don't recommend you guys to think about, at least I when you process like how to approach drawing the hand, don't think of like a box and then like the fingers just like starting at the end of the box. Actually, it doesn't really work that way. Your fingers actually extend all the way down into here. So even though, like, you know, you just, you know, we see this part, these are the parts that we see, right? You know, this part of the fingers, but actually the fingers actually extend into the hand. That's how I like to think of it, because that makes it a little bit more complete when I'm drawing it. Okay. Another thing is measuring. That's another important thing. So how to measure? Okay. So, you know, when you look at the whole hand, okay, and I'm including the metacarpal bones here. Yeah, you can see from, if this is like 1, right? If this is 1, then this would be like half. So I say, like, you know, pretty much like where the fingers or the phalanges are coming out, I'll say like that's like half of the hand. Okay. Each phalange, so let's say this one here, sorry, this metacarpal bone that's here, this phalange is about 1/3 shorter than this one. And then this phalange is 1/3 shorter than this one. And then for the little tip part, that's 1/3 shorter than what was preceding it. So that's like the easiest way like to measure it, right? So if this is 1, this is half. So if you, from here to like where, you know, the fingers are coming out, all right. So the first part is going to be 1/3 shorter. Next one 1/3 shorter, then 1/3 shorter. So that's how I like to measure it out. Okay. Um, okay. Those are the basic the basic main keys that I like to think about, when I'm setting out like to draw a hand. Okay. So let's say, okay, let me do this again. When you draw a hand, okay, try to, you know, to draw it in a way, that is like showing some sort of gesture. Okay. Also, another thing that might be helpful for you guys is that, like, when you do draw it, um, it might be a good idea to like imagine like the hand like a mitten. Actually, I think everybody, you know can basically can like draw can draw a mitten, right? So if you can draw that, a mitten, or I don't know, a teapot glove or something like that. If you can do that, that can take you a long way in terms of like, to draw a hand, because from this, you can start working it out. And actually, like, you can construct a hand out of that. Okay, I'm just doing this just really fast and loose here, so you guys get an idea. But that's how you can do that. Okay. So I guess, like, one of the really important things, to keep in mind, like when you're drawing a hand, one is to be patient. Don't don't try to get everything on the first hit. Okay. And don't get frustrated, don't panic. If it doesn't come out exactly the way you wanted it on the first try, because you want to imagine, like, that um, you're building this up, right? Okay, so, like, there's my a hand here. Okay. And of course, I'm not finished with it. And of course, there are other things, I'll do to help bring this out a little bit more. Okay. All right. So anyway, my point is, like, look, when you draw it, keep it very, very loose. Okay. Keep it very loose in the beginning. All right. So let's say here's my hand. All right. And again, I like to think of, the anatomy here. So, like, the carpal bones are here. They extend into the carpal bones. So they're going all the way up into here like that. Okay. And another tip, okay, when you draw the fingers, when you draw them extending out, they tend to, all right, the middle finger, pretty much goes like straight out this way. But the other fingers, they tend to like gravitate inwards, almost like in a cup, in a cup kind of way. So actually, if you think about your hand, well, what is the function, right? The function is, of course, is to grasp things and things like that. If, in our earlier years, before we had cups and things like that, we would, use it to hold liquids and things like that. So it has like this nice cup like, or this cup or bowl like kind of design to it, which means that everything's kind of like it's curving upwards, like towards like a common point, right? So when you draw the fingers, like you don't want to always like make them, like straight and rigid like that. More when they're natural, it's kind of like this, right? It's kind of like coming inwards and whatnot. So I'm imagining, these fingers kind of, coming inwards a little bit. Okay. All right. So here, let's say so again, if this is like, if this is a half, this is half of this, right? So I'd say, like, my first knuckle for the middle finger is here. Of course, that is connecting into the rest of the metacarpal down here. All right. And then from here, I can, again, if I want to measure this, a third down from this, right? On the next one. So this will be roughly like a third shorter, right? And I'll put just a knuckle here like that. And then like the next one down, it's going to be a third shorter than that. And I'll put a knuckle here. And then next one's going to be a third shorter than that. Okay, so my actual finger is coming out. It's just a little bit of a fat finger. Sorry. Here we go. So we have something like that. Okay. Another important thing, of course, is, making sure that it's kind of clear that, like this is a three-dimensional thing. So, I try to do things that gives the impression that like we're going over a form here, right? So you have like the thumbnail that goes like that. And then like you have, of course, like the top of the finger, which is going down like this. Okay. All right. It's coming in like this. Okay. All right. The other thing, all right, let's see, I'll do the same thing here. So I have, a knuckle. Now this is gonna coming down like this. So I have my knuckle again coming in like that. Roughly speaking, I'm gonna say this is maybe about a third shorter than here. And the next one, say it's about a third shorter than that, from here to here to here. Okay, so here's this hand. Okay, again going over the form. So you have thumbnail. Okay, joint, like that. Okay, so that's our second finger. Okay, all right, and same thing here. Okay, you have, again, going down. Okay, this is coming in like that. I'm gonna make this one roughly a third shorter than that. And then from here to here, I'll make that roughly about a third shorter than that. Okay, so again, the fingernail actually does help, make the forms kind of clear in terms of that this is something, just that little bend over helps that make it more believable actually. Okay. All right. Sorry, this is a little bit sketchy, but I know because I'm just kind of like constructing this, for you guys. Okay. And then sorry, then the last one is which is the pinky finger. Again, going down. All right, from here to here, I'll make this one a third shorter, and then this one's gonna be a third shorter from here. So then the pinky is gonna be like that. And like that. Again, going over the form. Like that. Okay. All right. And now another another thing actually that is also very important, which is the thumb. Okay. Actually, sorry, this pinky is a little bit. No, actually that's correct, but I'm gonna design it a little bit better. There we go. All right, good. So one thing that I notice about the pinky is that if I was like to draw, again, like now measuring is a very helpful thing to do. If you draw like a point, let's say down from here, right to like right where like the dimple of like where the middle finger is coming out, right? Like if you go straight, your middle finger is here like that. So if you bring this one down here, and if you go out at a 90-degree angle, roughly you're gonna get like where the thumb should be coming out. So I do a 90-degree angle, boom, to boom, like that. Now of course this will change, of course, because the thumb is kind of funky in terms of like how it goes in space, but roughly speaking, it's at a 90-degree angle like that. Okay, so if I'm going to draw, say 90 degrees, put this here, I'm going to bring this out here like that. Okay, so it's going to be roughly here like that. Okay, and that's my first knuckle, and then I'm going to put this one there like that. Okay, all right, so we have this coming out. Sorry, it's just coming out like that. And then you have the thumb like this. Actually, and again, if you get confused, it might behoove you just to look at your own hand. You got reference right there, man. So, don't be apprehensive about it. Look at your own hand. Okay. All right. This. This hand could be a little bit more gestural, to be honest, but not so bad. Again, another key is you want to draw the rest of the hand or the of the arm to show like what it's attached to, because it's gonna work better for you in terms of like giving people an idea of how this is working. You don't want to draw like just like a bodiless hand. You want to imply that it's connected to something. Okay. All right. So like roughly, so there's our hand, okay. And of course, if I had the time, I would touch this up a little bit more, actually. But I just wanted to show you basically, how to get around and how to construct a hand, okay. All right. I mean, now this is this is a little bit static, for me to be honest. But it's something to work with. Okay, now 'cause I didn't even get about like talking about the other side of the hand. It's another thing, because something you gotta keep in mind now, because like your knuckles are here on this side of the hand, right? But actually, like when you turn it over, actually you have this folded skin that goes a little bit further up. So actually, you have actually the folded skin is coming down like that. So actually it's gonna look a little bit on this side, the knuckles are a little bit longer, so it's more visible. Here it's not so visible, so actually it's a little bit it looks shorter, but actually the knuckle is here, right underneath it. Okay, so that's something I need to talk about a little bit later. Okay, I think in another video, what I'll do is I'll talk about maybe like like drawing like the individual fingers, because the hand is one thing, but like really like understanding like the fingers, and like how do you like get things like to look like it has like more of a a rhythm to it, and what have you. So okay, all right, I'm not going to go too long with this. Just wanted to give you a quick tip. Okay, and I'll touch on this again in the future. Okay, and if you have any like questions or anything, like if anything like wasn't clear, please ask me. Okay, I hope that was a little bit helpful, and I'll see you next time. All right, bye bye.